Hello and welcome to my channel. We have all heard of haunted houses and watched scary movies. Well, today I wanted to share my ghostly tale with you. There once was a little girl. She was about 7 or 8 years old. Her parents were getting divorced. She would stay with one for a time and then with the other. While she was staying with her dad, he moved into a fairly large house in Cleveland, Tennessee, taking along his girlfriend, her two daughters, and her baby, as well as the girl's older brother and sister. The little girl only lived in this house briefly. Upon entering the house, she ran throughout the house exploring. She ran into the kitchen, opening each cabinet, slamming each quickly shut. She opened each drawer to see if there was anything inside. She found a charm bracelet that fit very loosely on her small wrist. After exploring, she asked her dad if she could have the bedroom in the basement as well as the chimes. He had said yes to both, but after spending the first night in the house, he had changed his mind. He no longer wanted her to sleep in the basement alone, and he gave the chimes instead to her sister and hung them in the hallway outside of her sister's bedroom. It was a three-story house with a staircase near the front of the house, as well as a staircase near or in the kitchen, which was in the back of the house. In the basement, there was a huge hole in one of the walls with a pile of bricks inside of the hole. There was a small space, or possibly a closet, that was filled with old empty mason jars near the hole. On the main floor was the living room, a bedroom or two, and the kitchen. Upstairs, there were two bedrooms. You would climb up a wooden staircase that was not very wide, and at the top of the staircase was a small bathroom. Beside that was the first bedroom, followed by the other bedroom that had a closet with a door hidden behind the clothes that led into another closet, which then led into the attic where most of the child's belongings were stored. The first night that they stayed there, they all slept on the main floor, as they did not yet have furniture in the rooms. The little girl woke up in the morning and everyone was freaking out. They were all talking about how the kitchen cabinets were opening and slamming shut in the middle of the night. They said they heard an organ playing in the attic and there was no organ in the house. They said a ball bounced down the staircase. Her dad walked up to the staircase and the ball bounced back up the stairs. Everyone was terrified. The front door was always opening randomly as the family sat watching television together. Her dad would say, "Harvey, shut the door," and the door would slam shut. Sometimes she would watch intently for the door to open and close to see if it was the wind or if it actually seemed like a ghost was haunting the house. She would go into the attic behind the closets where her belongings were stored, probably looking for something to wear. It was very hot and muggy in the attic. There were no air conditioner vents. While she sat there in the heat going through her things, she felt a cool breeze go around her, and it seemed to go right through her. The older sister was terrified of the house, and the younger sister often hid behind corners, jumping out as the older sister would pass by in horror. The older sister felt that the ghost was always messing with her. The little girl would tell the older sister that ghosts only mess with people who are mean. The older sister started being a bit nicer to the younger one and would offer her a piece of candy every now and then at night before she went to bed. The little girl wondered if her sister thought that she was the one haunting the house, or if perhaps she was in cahoots with the ghost. It was a very stressful time for the little girl, as her mother hated her mother's boyfriend hated her dad's girlfriend hated her as well, and there was no place she could go where she felt loved and happy. The little girl had a terrifying nightmare and moved out of the house and in with her mother. The nightmare seemed very vivid and so real. Even though the child had a photographic memory, at the time she could not remember moving out and had lost 3 days of her memory. She would try so hard to remember moving out, but she just couldn't. All she could remember was the nightmare. In the child's nightmare, her dad was beating her with a belt while his girlfriend stood behind him pretending to cry while smiling at the child as the child was being beaten. The brother's girlfriend moved in later, a while after the little girl had moved out. She told the child years later that one night during a storm, all of the lights went out from the lightning during the storm. She said the child's sister grabbed one of her arms with both hands, and even though they were the only two in the house at the time, that someone else had grabbed her other arm. Years later, the little girl was told that sometimes when we go through stressful situations, that our subconscious mind is actually what haunts the houses, moving things, as well as opening and closing doors. The girl stopped to wonder if in fact it was her who had haunted the house. The little girl was me. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for tuning in to my channel.